Stand by. Oh, there I am. What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know, I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. This week's shows, I have one public show on Friday night at the Friday night video dance party karaoke jam at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. That's 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. Full bar, kitchens open, pool tables, pool tournament on Friday nights. If you're anywhere in the Conway, Arkansas area, I encourage you to check out the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. It's a good time. I tell you, it's a good time. Also, if you'd like to watch me do some gaming, hashtag KeysDAN Gaming. Find me on Twitch and find me on Facebook Gaming. By the way, I am transmitting live right now on Facebook. My personal Facebook, facebook.com/KeysDAN411. And then my Twitch, it's at KeysDAN. And then my YouTube page, also at KeysDAN. Yeah. So you can chat if you want to. You can hit me up and follow, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of thing. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Monday, January 31st, 2022. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, Rafael Nadal wins record 21st Grand Slam at Australian Open. Tennis star Rafael Nadal of Spain came back after losing the first 2 sets to beat Russia's Daniil Medvedev 2-6, 6-7, 6-4, 6-4, and 7-5, and wins the Australian Open. The victory in the nearly 5.5-hour match gave Nadal a record 21st Grand Slam title. The marathon win came after a 6-month layoff recovery from surgery for a chronic foot injury that raised speculation about whether Nadal would return to tournament play. Nadal, 35, also had to stay in bed after contracting COVID-19 in December, limiting the time he had to prepare for the trip to Melbourne. He was seeded 6th, so he once appeared unlikely to break his tie of 20 Grand Slam titles with Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic, who couldn't play because Australia kicked him out due to his failure to comply with the country's coronavirus vaccination rules. This is according to The Guardian. Number 2, North Korea confirms test of missile that could reach Guam. North Korea on Monday confirmed that it test launched an intermediate range ballistic missile, the most powerful one it has tested in 5 years. South Korea and Japan said the missile flew 497 miles and landed in the sea between the Korean Peninsula and Japan. But the Hwasong 12 missile has a maximum range of 2,800 miles, enough to reach the U.S. territory of Guam, where the U.S. has military bases with advanced warplanes it has sent to the Korean Peninsula in past shows of force. Nuclear talks are stalled between the United States and North Korea, and some experts believe North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is using a recent series of missile launches to get President Biden's attention with the hope he will ease sanctions. This is according to the Associated Press. Number 3, senators close deal on sanctions on Russia over Ukraine crisis. Republicans and Democrats on the State Foreign Relations Committee are close to reaching a deal on legislation that would impose sanctions on Russia for its buildup of forces near Ukraine's border. Some of the measures would hit Moscow before any possible invasion. Senator Bob Menendez, Democrat, New Jersey, the committee's Democratic chair, said Sunday on CNN's State of the Union that there is broad bipartisan support for punishing Russia if it invades Ukraine. Both Menendez and Senator James Rich, Republican Idaho, the committee's ranking Republican, said they hope to introduce the bill this week. Quote, I would describe it as that we are on the 1 yard line, end quote, Menendez said. Russia has been massing troops for months, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has criticized the West for not imposing harsh sanctions sooner. This is according to Reuters. Number 4, Spotify. Joe Rogan respond to Neil Young's allegation of COVID misinformation. Spotify responded for the first time Sunday to protests accusing podcaster Joe Rogan of spreading COVID-19 misinformation, as Joni Mitchell and other artists joined folk rock singer Neil Young by pulling their music off the streaming service. Quote, we know we have a critical role to play in supporting creator expression while balancing it with the safety of our users, end quote, CEO Daniel Ek wrote in a blog post Sunday. Rogan also responded to the controversy, saying in a video posted on Instagram, his show had gotten, quote, out of control, end quote, and promising to be more balanced and better informed. Spotify last week removed Young's music after he wrote in a letter posted on his website that Spotify could, quote, have Rogan or Young, not both, end quote. This is according to the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post. Number 5, Canadian truckers block Ottawa streets for second day to protest vaccine mandates. Truckers and other protesters blocked much of downtown Ottawa for a second day on Sunday to protest Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's COVID-19 vaccine mandates. Trucks parked on streets near Parliament in the Canadian capital ahead of lawmakers' scheduled Monday return from a holiday break. Some of the truckers vowed to stay until the mandates are lifted. Former U.S. President Donald Trump praised the Canadian protesters during a Saturday rally in Texas, saying they were, quote, resisting bravely these lawless mandates, end quote. Ottawa police tweeted that several alleged incidents during the protest were under investigations, including, quote, desecration of the National War Memorial, end quote, and, quote, threatening, illegal, intimidating behavior to police, city workers, and other individuals, end quote. This is according to Reuters. Number 6, Lindsey Graham says Trump call for January 6 pardons inappropriate. Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican, South Carolina, said Sunday that it was, quote, inappropriate, end quote, for former President Trump to suggest that if elected again, he might pardon people convicted for participating in the January 6 attack on the Capitol. Quote, if I run and I win, we will treat those people from January 6 fairly, end quote. Trump said at a Saturday rally in Texas, quote, we will treat them fairly. Let me redo that so the quote is proper. Quote, we will treat them fairly, and if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons because they are being treated so unfairly, end quote. Graham said on CBS Face the Nation that he doesn't, quote, want to send any signal that it was okay to defile the Capitol, end quote. He suggested that Vice President Kamala Harris, also made violence more likely by raising money to, quote, bail out the rioters who hit cops in the head and burned down stores, end quote, during demonstrations in summer 2020. This is according to The Hill. Number 7, Trump says in reform proposal shows Pence could have overturned election. A bipartisan group of senators is working on a bill clarifying that the vice president cannot just set aside slates of presidential electors effectively overturn a presidential election. On Sunday evening, former President Donald Trump issued a statement claiming that this legislative push shows that, quote, Mike Pence did have the right to change the outcome, and they now want to take that right away. Unfortunately, he didn't exercise that power. He could have overturned that election." End quote. One thing the House January 6th committee is examining is whether Trump was involved in an effort to overturn President Biden's election. Committee member Representative Adam Kinzinger, Republican Illinois, called Trump's statement, quote, "an admission," end quote, as well as, quote, "a massively un-American statement," end quote. This is according to Donald J. Trump and Adam Kinzinger. Number 8, winter storm brings historic snowfall cold to East Coast. Boston got 23.6 inches of snow in the brutal nor'easter that hit the Northeast over the weekend, tying the city's record, the National Weather Service said Sunday. Some parts of the region were buried in up to 30 inches of snow. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration said 100% of New England got at least some snow, with an average of 12.4 inches, and some parts of New York City got a foot too. Tens of thousands of people lost power in Massachusetts. The storm affected the East Coast from Maine to the Carolinas, with areas farther south getting historically cold temperatures. Sunday's low at the Florida Keys Marathon International Airport hit 46, breaking a 65-year-old record for the date. This is according to USA Today and CNN. Number 9, Bengals, Rams advance to the Super Bowl. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams prevailed in close NFL Conference Championship games on Sunday to advance to the Super Bowl, which will be played February 13th. After 5 straight National Football Championship games featuring either Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, this year's Super Bowl will pit Cincinnati's Joe Burrow against the Rams' Matthew Stafford, marking only the second time that 2 quarterbacks were number 1 draft picks will face each other in the Super Bowl. Burrow led the Bengals to the championship game in just his second NFL season as a starter, after the team went 31 years without a playoff win. Stafford led the Rams to a comeback win over San Francisco in the NFC Championship game in his first year in LA, after going 74-90-1 in 12 years with Detroit. This is according to the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. Number 10, WKRP in Cincinnati's Howard Hessmann dies at 81. Actor Howard Hessmann, who played the radio disc jockey Johnny Fever on the sitcom WKRP in Cincinnati, died over the weekend due to complications from colon surgery, his manager Robbie Cass said Sunday. He was 81. Hessmann got his start with the San Francisco improv group The Committee in the 1960s, a period when he also moonlighted as the disc jockey for the San Francisco rock and roll station KMPX. He had started his acting career with parts on The Andy Griffith Show and Sanford & Son, but got his big break on WKRP. He won 2 Emmys for his work on the show, which ran from 1978 to 1982. He later starred as Charlie Moore on Head of the Class and had recurring roles on That 70s Show and Boston Legal. This is according to NPR. On a personal note, Howard Hessmann, as Johnny Fever, he really was part of the inspiration to get me into this broadcasting thing. So I appreciate him so much. I looked up to him, and I appreciate Howard Hessmann and the work that he did over the years, not just on WKRP, but I liked when he popped up in movies and TV shows. All right, that's it for this edition of What Makes You Smarter. This has been What Makes You Smarter, 10 things you need to know today for Monday, January 31st, 2022. Thank you so much for listening. This is KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.